I had mentioned in my last review how I was hoping that the episodes would alternate between the Bad Batch and Crosshair with the Empire. So while I was initially disappointed that we weren't getting Crosshair in this episode, I was able to eventually move on from my expectations and somewhat enjoy what we got. After a quick junkyard visit by Wrecker and Omega, we're back on Cid's cantina, and while we did get to spend some more time with her and see what she's like, it felt like we were just thrown right into Fee's character, and I would have liked to get at least a little more introduction for her. As of right now, I have little to no reason to care about her, which for me is just another character in this show that I can't bring myself to connect to or care about. And I was disappointed with this because she reminds me a lot of Dr. Aphra, with her fascination in treasure and adventures. But when she was about to fall during the climax of the action, the tension was building up and yet I didn't even feel a thing, because I really had no idea who she was. I found myself feeling more emotion when the droid was obliterated than when she was about to fall and die. I mentioned earlier how she felt similar to what I know from Dr. Aphra, which also kind of means that she felt like an Indiana Jones sort of character. I thought the new location had a cool design, even if there wasn't much else to be explored there, but as soon as the group adventured into the mountain, it immediately felt like I was watching the animated short film version of Indiana Jones, which for me isn't necessarily a good or bad thing. I wouldn't consider myself a diehard fan of those movies or that style, but I am into history quite a bit, and there were elements of that here. Although it was very vague, Fee did go through the history on the walls and what the heart of the mountain is, and there were even some complex puzzles, so to speak, along the way to make it more interesting and exciting, since there were relatively few action sequences. I found it quite hard to trust her throughout the episode, believing that she had some ulterior motive or was going to betray the group, so I'm interested to see if those suspicions come into play down the line, since we really do know so little about her. When she first mentioned the heart, the first thing that came to mind was the Bright Star from Vader Immortal, so I was a bit worried about how similar the two would feel, but by the end of the story, the two of them felt almost nothing alike. The twist that we got was definitely a surprising one, and while there are things much weirder in the universe, when I first saw the mech, for some reason I thought it felt out of place in the story, but even though the action with the mech was pretty short, it didn't take long for me to come around on it and enjoy it. Even though that particular part of the episode felt very rushed, 1 minute the mech was activated, and yet it felt like it was almost immediately destroyed. I do like the shorter episodes, but I think a few more minutes could have been taken away from the exploration or exposition part of the episode, and have more action near the end, to give the audience time to feel the threat that this mechanical monstrosity poses to our characters. Last week the focus of the episode was mostly tech, and this week it felt like Omega was the one that got to shine. She was very adventurous, and even though I couldn't really pick out a specific element of her character that was developed, at least not after one viewing, we do see the conflicting influences of Fee and Hunter in the episode. I would have liked to see more of Echo after he was completely gone from last episode, but we at least got some moments with Hunter where he tries to be protective of Omega and the Batch, which conflicts with Fee's fascination with treasure hunting, something that she passes on to Omega. There weren't any major character development moments in this one, but I think, especially if we are on another treasure hunt next episode, like the tease suggested, we could see more of the dynamic between Fee, Hunter, and Omega, and how it develops with them. This is definitely a shorter review than most that I do, but I guess I just don't have that much to say about this one. It was decent enough, definitely not my favorite from the series, but probably not my worst either. I just still have the problem caring about these characters and their stories, so other than when we see Crosshair and the Empire, I haven't really come out of an episode viewing super excited over what I just saw. And it seems as though we did get a tease for the next episode being another treasure hunt, so the odds that the main focus of the episode shifts back to Crosshair seems unlikely again. Or it may just happen in between episodes, we'll just have to see. Entombed feels reminiscent of many popular archaeological treasure hunts with its history and puzzles, but fails to maintain any emotional semblance, earning a rating of 7 out of 10. Let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Remember to like the video, and subscribe for more reviews like this. Thank you all for watching, and remember, the Force will be with you.